I've worked with over 1,400 high-performing business owners through Rising Kings, taken them through our 9-week transformation and watched the same pattern every single time. The goals that got them to success were the exact things keeping them miserable. So if you're over 40, successful, but something feels off, these 7 goals are probably why. And unlike the motivational BS you see everywhere else, I'm going to show you exactly what to chase instead. Life goal number 1, seeking validation from everyone. So let's start with the most dangerous line on that old scorecard. At 41, I was a grown man still asking for permission to feel successful, worrying about what everyone else thought about my work, how I looked, what I had, only to later realize no one cares. Here's what I see with every guy who comes through Rising Kings. 87% of them are outsourcing their self-worth to strangers. Your neighbor doesn't care about your new car. Your high school buddies aren't impressed by how much you make. And that random guy who liked your recent LinkedIn post, he's already forgotten about it. The shift is to just focus on being your best self. When you're aligned with your own standards, when you're living by your code, when you wake up and respect the man in the mirror, you don't need anyone else's approval. You validate yourself. And it was one of the Rising Kings brothers that says it perfectly. I stopped asking what will they think and started asking what do I think. You see, validation, man, it's a drug. And like any drug, it's highly addictive and you need bigger hits to feel the same high. But when you're your own source, bro, you're free. Now the reality is this: validation from others is borrowed confidence, and anything that's borrowed eventually has to be given back. Which brings us to number 2, because once you stop needing everyone's approval, you realize you've been trying to balance everything perfectly just to look good for people who don't even matter. Life goal number 2, perfect work-life balance. This one's the biggest lie we've been sold. Perfect work-life balance? It doesn't exist. Never has, never will. And look, I know what you're thinking, but everyone says balance is important. Is it though? Or is that just another line on the wrong scorecard? You see, I spent years trying to give equal time to everything. Family, business, fitness, friends. You know what happened? I was mediocre at all of it, half-assing everything. And when I tracked it, here's what I found. I was giving about 40% to my business, 40% to my family, and then 20% to everything else. And you know what 40% gets you? 40% results. And here's what you come to realize. Life happens in seasons, brother. Sometimes you need to go all in on business projects for 6 weeks. Sometimes your family needs you to completely unplug for 2 weeks. Sometimes you're in build mode. Sometimes you're in recovery mode, right? The new goal isn't balance. It's actually clarity. Be clear on how you want to feel, then understand the season you're in and what's required. You see, when I'm in launch season, my family knows. When I'm in family season, my team knows. This removes the ups and the downs of this feeling of guilt and confusion. So stop trying to be everywhere at 50% and start being fully present wherever you are. Because the game of perfect balance, bro, that earns you a participation badge at best. But the top performers, they know it's about strategic seasons. And here's where it gets interesting. While you're trying to balance everything, you're also buying stuff to make yourself feel better about failing at balance. Which brings us to the 3rd goal. Life goal number 3, material excess. At some point, we all believe the lie that the next purchase will finally make us feel successful. Whether that's the next car, the next watch, the next house, but deep down, you already know the truth. It won't. It's where we get stuck thinking possessions equal progress. And I've watched guys with garages full of toys feel emptier than guys with nothing because they're trying to fill an internal void with an external stuff. Instead, invest in experiences, not stuff. Because your kids won't remember the Rolex, but they'll never forget the camping trip. The man with the most stuff doesn't win, brother. So stop thinking the next purchase will make you feel fulfilled. Now, the reality of it is that every purchase is a temporary high with a permanent price tag. And the cost isn't just money, it's meaning. Now, I want you to stick with me here because this next one is going to sting. All this stuff you're buying, it's really just you trying to hold on to a younger version of yourself that doesn't exist anymore. Which leads me to life goal number 4, holding on to your younger self. Man, how many times have you been at a function and you've got that guy sharing about how great his past was? I see 45-year-old guys still talking about how they were crushing it in their 20s and 30s, still telling the same stories from 5 years ago. Brother, no one cares about your glory days anymore. The truth, you're not that guy anymore. And that's actually a good thing. You've got wisdom now. You got experience. Guys who continually live in their past, they're literally stuck. Embrace your age, brother. Like you're 40-something with knowledge a 20-year-old would kill for. So it's time to use it. Stop trying to compete with your younger self and start building on what he started, right? Do exceptional things now. Share those stories instead. Because the thing is, your strength isn't in how heavy you can bench, brother. It's in your wisdom. So it's time to own it. Which brings us to number 5. And I'll be honest, man, like this one nearly cost me everything. Life goal number 5. Working for status. It's time to let go of killing yourself for status symbols that won't matter at your funeral, right? Too many men are out there sacrificing everything for a LinkedIn title. It's time to stop missing your kids growing up for board meetings, man, or destroying your health so you're seen as the most dedicated in the business. If you're climbing just for status, you'll reach the top, realize you've climbed the wrong mountain. So instead, start working for purpose and passion. Like find stuff that matters. Build something that outlasts you, like create impact. Now this can be as simple as looking at how you can mentor others in your role or finding a passion project to work on. But don't burn your life to the ground for a title that won't even make it onto your tombstone, man. Because the reality is that no one at your funeral will mention your job. They'll talk about how you made them feel. Now this next goal, I still wrestle with it. And if you're anything like the 1,400 men I've worked with, you do too. Life goal number 6, perfection. It took me a long time to get. In fact, I still wrestle with it occasionally. 92% of men in Rising Kings identify as perfectionists. And you know what else they also identify as? Exhausted. It's easy to get caught up trying to make everything perfect. Perfect business, perfect family, perfect marriage, and every moment you're pushing hard trying to finesse everything. Meanwhile, you're missing out on the actual journey. And then life flies by for you to only realize you've missed it by chasing perfection. Dude, no one's perfect. There's no such thing. And even if it was, you wouldn't even know you had it because you'd still find a fault. So stop robbing yourself of the happiness, connection, presence, all the fun stuff because you think you need perfection. Instead, embrace the mess, brother. Remember when you were a kid? You'd jump in puddles, man. You'd do crazy stuff without worrying about trying to make it right. Let's bring that back. The adventurous guy, the curious one, who's less interested in getting it right and more excited by trying something new. Because the mess is where the magic happens. That's where growth lives. So it's time to embrace it. Now the truth is, perfection is just procrastination dressed up as standards. And it's keeping you from actually living. Which brings us to the final goal. And honestly, this was the hardest one for me to let go of. Life goal number 7, trying to fit in. I left this last as it was the biggest challenge in my life, right? This was the ultimate wrong scorecard move, shrinking yourself to fit someone else's game. Now for me, I was bullied through primary and high school, so I became someone who had to master fitting in because I didn't want to be bullied and pushed around for being smart, being good at sport, being the high achiever. So I dumbed my whole life down so I didn't stick out, but it cost me. I became numb, like I became a version of myself I didn't like, hiding my ambitions and truth just to keep old friendships. And for 15 years, I played small. And you know what I realized? The people I was trying to fit in with weren't even happy themselves. So thankfully, I broke out of it. I worked on myself and stopped trying to fit in. I recreated who I was. I owned it. I built a tribe of brothers who all lived by a similar code. Because brother, you don't need to shrink to make others feel better about themselves. You don't need to apologize for outgrowing those who choose to stay the same. Now I get it. It feels hard to leave mates you've had for decades. But as you get older, you start to realize you want to be surrounded by people who get you, who push you, man, who celebrate your wins instead of questioning them. So stop trying to fit into spaces you've outgrown. You weren't made to fit in. You were made to stand out. So just own it. Because the way I see it, fitting in is the slowest form of death. You die a little every time you dim your light for someone else's comfort. So look, here's the reality of it. Every man in Rising Kings shows up exhausted from chasing these 7 goals. They've been running someone else's race for so long, they forgot what winning actually looks like for them. But here's what I know after taking over 1,400 men through this transformation. The moment you stop chasing the wrong scorecard, everything shifts. Not in some woo-woo manifestation way, but in real, measurable ways. Your business actually grows when you stop obsessing over perfection. Your marriage transforms when you stop trying to control everything. Your kids start respecting you when you stop trying to be their friend. Because the reality of business, of life, of being a man over 40 is that you've been conditioned to chase things that no longer serve you. Maybe they never did. And unless you're consciously choosing a different path, you're going to wake up, man, at 50, 60, 70, still chasing, still empty, still wondering when it gets better. Here's what I can tell you. It gets better when you stop performing and start living. When you stop trying to be liked and start being respected. When you burn that old scorecard and write your own. Because this drift, when you fall away from the man you know you could and should be, it happens slowly. And the average drift score when men come to us is 39%, meaning they're operating at 39% of their potential. And after 9 weeks, we get that up to 93%. Because you don't just wake up one day disconnected from your family. You don't suddenly realize you hate your life. It's a slow fade. One wrong goal at a time, one misaligned year after another. That's why you want to get on top of this as soon as you can. And it's why I created the drift assessment, right? It measures the gap between where you are and where you should be across these exact areas. Your business, your family, your fitness, your fulfillment. It takes about 3 minutes, shows you exactly how far you've drifted from the man you're supposed to be. And most guys score way worse than they expect. But that's the point. You can't fix what you can't see. And so I put a link for you below. And if you're ready to see what happens when men stop chasing the wrong goals, watch this video right here where I share the 5 laws of what it takes to be your own man. Stay strong.